Good evening, everybody, and welcome to WrestleScope T. This is John, and it's been a huge day here in WWE wrestling news. Some good news and some bad news. As always, folks, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments here. I'll be going into the comments here shortly as we get them in, but like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you can be updated every time there's a new video on. Unfortunately, I will not have any graphics on here today because for whatever reason, I was having issues with StreamYard tonight. So doing this just straight through YouTube Studio. So absolutely no graphics tonight. I apologize. Which story do we want to start off with first? I guess let's get the good news out of the way, I guess you could say. A couple of announcements coming out of WWE today. First of all, it was announced February 24th, 2024. The Elimination Chamber PLE will be taking place in Perth, Australia. That's right. They're going international once again. Huge show for the folks down in Australia. Obviously, you can expect to see Rhea Ripley and Grayson Waller, thinking basketball here. Grayson Waller, heavily pushed as part of that show. That was announced that the road to WrestleMania, it's going to be heading through Perth, Australia. So exciting for that. Then it was also announced by TKO, the parent company now of WWE and UFC, that they have struck a deal with NBC Universal, who has been the home of Raw and NXT, is now going to be the home of Friday Night Smackdown starting in October 2024. What this means for Raw and NXT is unknown at this point in time. Conflicting reports are out there concerning the fact that NBC Universal is not interested in keeping Raw and NXT on the USA Network, that Amazon and Disney are still in conversation with it. Anything's possible at this point. I get the feeling, I had posted this on my earlier live stream that I did as news was breaking earlier today, that I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 10 to 14 days we get an announcement of what is happening with Raw and NXT. And you can throw NXT Level Up in there as well. But with SmackDown moving to the USA Network next fall, in just a little over a year, could we potentially see SmackDown going to 3 hours? That is a strong possibility. USA Network, they have really loved having the 3 hours of Raw. I don't know if that's a wise decision from WWE. I think they should still stick with the 2-hour format. You'd have to think that AEW is watching this entire situation very closely, because if USA Network opts to have WWE go 3 hours with SmackDown on Friday nights, that is obviously going to have a direct effect on the already struggling viewership ratings for AEW Rampage. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens with that. Also included in this deal with NBC Universal is starting in fall of 2024, 1 year from now, NBC, the network, the over-the-air, major network, is going to have 4 primetime WWE specials. Now, do not expect the return of Sunday night's or Saturday night's main event. I don't believe that's what it's going to be. Potentially, these could be weeknights, which would be very interesting. Not sure how that's all going to play out. Where they would put them, probably Wednesday nights. You never know. But you figure if it's going to be during the television season, it will probably be once every 8 weeks or so, which you have to wonder, with the combination of PLEs and then these 4 major network events, are they going to maybe eliminate some PLEs? I don't know. It's a very interesting situation that they're going to have there with WWE. But that is on the business side, that's the big news. But now we move over to what is extremely difficult news to talk about, and it's talking about releases of talent. And it seems like every 12 to 18 months we're doing stuff like this. And I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I can tell you from watching some of the other major content creators that I watch, Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, Pete Quinnell over at Wrestle Talk, the guys over at Cultaholic were, the three big ones that I watched today as this was breaking. Tom Collahue as well. All of them said the same exact thing. This is one of the toughest things to talk about. Outside of, when you have breaking news about the death of someone, talent releases is always a difficult thing to talk about. Hello, Mizzy. How are you doing? And this is a weird combination of names that came out here. There was, and there's still, as of 15 minutes ago, there was yet another talent announced that they were released. But it started off with Mustafa Ali. That news came out within a half an hour after the TKO, WWE, Smackdown, USA Network, NBC Universal news came out. And it somewhat came as a shock to people, but then again, it didn't. Mustafa Ali, he had requested his release back in 2021. I had originally said it was last year, but it was actually 2021. And he was never granted his release. He found a new life in NXT, supposed to have a match against Dominic Mysterio coming up next weekend at NXT No Mercy. And he was the first announcement. He announced it first. And then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened. Within the hour after that, we heard Emma, Rick Boogs, Aaliyah, Elias, Top Dollar, Riddick Moss. And then suddenly after those two were probably the two biggest names out of the bunch, Shelton Benjamin and Dolph Ziggler. So you had 9 right there out of the gate. And Brian Alvarez had reported that he had heard that NXT releases were going to be announced at around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern time, and it happened. We ended up finding out that, and there's some significant names here, and a couple of them are not related to NXT. Quincy Elliott, Bryson Montana, who I had to look up. I didn't even know who that was. Dana Brooke, Mace, Mansoor. So Maximum Male Models are gone. Shanky, who was just a major feature of the India show not that long ago. Dabba-Kato, Yulisa Leone, Daniel MacArthur, who was a Performance Center recruit, Kevin Ventura Cortez, who was another recruit, Alexis Gray, Performance Center recruit from earlier this year, and Brooklyn Barlow. So, and the Brooklyn Barlow one, that just came out within the last half an hour. So there's still releases happening. Going to continue to check here. I'm hoping, I'm really, really hoping that this is it for the releases for today. But I get this funny feeling going into tomorrow, we're going to hear even more. Now, there's been a lot of controversy over these releases because, again, you just have this huge show in Perth, Australia announced where WWE is getting upwards of, I heard it was I heard the number $400,000, but I would think it would actually be more than that. But they got a significant amount of money to come to Perth, Australia, to play in, to be in the stadium that's there. WWE did not pay to go there. They're getting paid to come in. Then you get what is essentially a $1.4 billion 5-year deal with NBC Universal. And earlier this week, you have 100 office staff that are released. And now you've got What is the official number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold on. Let's take a look here. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 talent as of right now that are also released. Talk about a punch to the junk right there. And say what you will about any of these talents. I made the comment, I had to look up who Bryson Montana was. And this is absolutely no offense to him. I don't watch NXT Level Up. So there's a lot of the talent there that I'm uncertain of. But each and every one of these men and women, this was their livelihood. This was their dream. For some of them, actually, I think the only one this may affect, and I could be wrong. No, actually, 2, 3 that it could affect are Emma, Dabakato, and Mansoor. When you're dealing with work visas, I don't know their citizenship status. But if you're dealing with work visas, all of a sudden you're out of work and you've got, I would believe all 3 of them have 90-day non-competes. The NXT talent is most likely 30 days because that's what the standard is for the NXT talent. But the anyone that is on a traditional WWE contract deal has a 90-day non-compete, which makes it so. And Mansoor had actually posted this, that he is available for bookings as of December 20th. So they cannot work another wrestling company, another wrestling show, and for 90 days. And I'm not 100% sure how work visas work, but you're looking at a situation where for 3 months, these people can't work. And if they're not U.S. citizens and they don't have a work visa, a valid work visa, they have to leave. And it's really hard to get back into that then, which means it's really hard to get back into working here wrestling in the United States. So, and then you have to look at it too from the fact that, these are people that, they may be married, they may have significant others, they may have children, they have families they have to take care of. And now they're out of work and are unable to work for the next 90 days. And again, like I said, talent wise, character wise, there's some of the people, I'll be honest, there's some of the people on this list that, all right, wasn't really a fan of the character, but I never wish ill will for anybody. I've been in positions way too many times in my career where I have been downsized, where I have been fired, uncertain of what was going to happen next. So I know this feeling directly. I correlated, I forget who I had tweeted it to earlier today. Oh, Caleb Braxton, announcer for WWE, who just, she tweeted, I hate days like today. And I responded like, hey, I completely understand where you're coming from, because having worked in the world of broadcast radio, multiple careers ago, but I worked a decade in that industry, and almost on a yearly basis, we would see this kind of stuff happen. Mass layoffs, whether it was in company I was working for or friends at other companies. I have dozens and dozens of friends that have been dealt these blows. Format changes, which means, losing a job, budget cutbacks, changes from corporate, whatever. You're out of work, and like on air talent, they had non-competes as well. They weren't able to work, in their industry. So I completely understand this. And like I said, I have dealt with this myself. So this is difficult. And, you look at this list again, there are certain people that are obviously going to land on their feet fine. Mustafa Ali, if he chooses to continue wrestling, he'll end up in either Impact or AEW. Emma, Would not be surprised if she went back to Impact Wrestling. After her first release a few years ago, she went there, went under her real name, Tennille Dashwood, and did extremely well for herself. Her fiance, Riddick Moss, her boyfriend, Riddick Moss, could end up going with her. They could go as a tandem. Shelton Benjamin, if I were Tony Khan, I would have picked up the phone already today and put calls out to Shelton Benjamin, Mustafa Ali, and Dolph Ziggler to bring all three of them in. Personally, I think Mustafa Ali would be better off in Impact Wrestling because he would be a great addition to that X division, though I think he would do amazing in Ring of Honor as well. Dolph Ziggler, obviously his brother, Ryan Nemeth, is there, so you could get the Nemeth brothers. And Shelton Benjamin, I mean, the guy is just an incredible talent. And yes, I believe he's in his 40s now. It doesn't matter. You've got Sting still out there wrestling at 64 and doing crazy things. As far as some of the other talent, Elias could definitely end up. He's got a lot of options open. I mean, he could go to NWA, he could go to Impact, he could go to AEW. Same thing with Rick Boogs. I think Rick Boogs would be excellent in Impact Wrestling. And you look at some of the other talent in here, as far as some of the developmental talent, it's really hard to say. It really is hard to say. I think Mace, going back to his name, Dio Madden, there's a possibility there. Mansoor, he has seen, a couple of moments of significant pushes for him. There's definitely a possibility there. I think those two were just victims of creative not having anything for them. Dana Brooke is another woman that I think could land on her feet okay. NWA, Impact Wrestling. As far as some of the other ones, it's really hard to say. Some of the big guys, Dabba-Kato, Shanky, you never really know. Shanky, there could be a possibility for him to head over to Impact Wrestling and join with Champagne Singh, and I forget who the other. There's the other gentleman that's been wrestling with Champagne Singh, and I should know this one. Turn them into a faction there. I'm just speculating here, but this is difficult. It's always difficult because, again, you're looking at livelihoods here, and some of this younger talent too, their dreams have essentially been squashed. Now, if AEW still had Dark and Dark Elevation, there'd be some possibilities there for some people, because those were great proving grounds right there for younger talent that, take a look at some of the talent that is on Dynamite and Rampage and Collision now. There's quite a bit of talent that spent a lot of time on Dark and Dark Elevation. You look at the Iron Savages, they were Bear Country for 2.5 years on Dark and Dark Elevation. They just got a tag team title shot. You've got the Workhorsemen. They've got a tag team title shot coming up. They've also been on the Indies quite a bit. You look at half of the women in that women's division. How many of them were on Dark and Dark Elevation? So that's one disappointing thing about that changing over in AEW is you don't have that option left there anymore. But again, we've got 21 names here of talent that were released today by WWE. And again, I'm going to continue to look because, that latest one came out very late, which is extremely surprising. In Brooklyn Barlow. Why that one came out so late, I'm not quite sure. I am not seeing any further updates here. Maybe we're in a good position here where there will not be any more announced tonight, but I had tweeted this earlier. I am fearful for some of the. There's a couple of WWE or NXT recruits, PC recruits that have had very limited time on television so far, and I'm worried about their futures. I'm really sincerely hoping that they're going to be okay, but we shall see. Like I said earlier, I don't have any inside information, but I've just got this funny feeling the way all of this kind of stuff is worked out that there will be another round tomorrow. And I sincerely hope I am wrong on this. I really hope that 21 is the number that we stop at, but I just have this funny feeling that we'll be back at this again on Friday talking about more. And I really want to be wrong on that. I really do want to be wrong on that, but I don't know. We've been down this road multiple times before and have seen it that sometimes it just ends up being, a one-day thing and they get it over with. Other times it goes a little bit longer. Hard to say. So, this has been a really tough day. And, the one I feel the worst for is Emma, because when the news of Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia came out, she did a simple tweet that, her dreams are coming true. And then 45 minutes later, she tweeted, well, not so much. I was just released by WWE. I talk about pulling the rug out from underneath somebody. And the fact that her boyfriend also got released on the same day. So they are both out of work, which she was brought back in that slew of Triple H re-signings to pad the numbers, to build the roster. And, she did a little bit, especially with Riddick Moss, they really pushed their real life relationship and had them be on screen together. And neither one of them have really done anything in the last 6 months. I think she wrestled a total of 3 total matches on TV, if that, which is very disappointing. You've got the situation with Dolph Ziggler, who let me see if the story here from Fightful lists when was the last time he was on. No, it doesn't say. I swear it was before WrestleMania was the last time that we saw him on television as well. Elias, they haven't really done anything with him since the summer. Rick Boogs, he had that terrible quad injury at WrestleMania 38, missed almost a year, came back, and they really didn't do much of anything with him. He was on the Slim Jim Battle Royal on the SummerSlam pre-show, and that was it. That was it for him. What's sad is the one name out of all 21 that were announced today that everybody said, well, not really a surprise. If there's going to be any releases, this person is most likely going to be, is Aaliyah. And it's a shame that people are talking that way about her. But since winning the WWE Tag Team Championships with Raquel Rodriguez and then losing them to Damage Control, she has not been seen on television. She was injured for a little bit, but then she hasn't been seen on television. And I just don't think that WWE knew what to do with her. She spent quite a bit of time. She's been signed with WWE for 8 years. She's been with WWE since 2015, 6 years in NXT, which is absolutely unheard of. I mean, that is an eternity in NXT. She was finally drafted to Smackdown in 2021. I think she's just one of those young ladies that never really developed the way that WWE had hoped she would, which is a shame. So really, that's about it for tonight. There's not much else to talk about here. Again, 21 names today released by WWE. Let's recap the names once again. Mustafa Ali, Emma, Rick Boogs, Aaliyah, Elias, Top Dollar, Riddick Moss, Shelton Benjamin, Dolph Ziggler. Then the second round came out. It was Quincy Elliott, Bryson Montana, Dana Brooke, Mason Mansour of Maximum Male Models, Shanky, Dabakato, Yulisa Leone, Daniel McCarthy, who is a PC recruit, Kevin Ventura Cortez, also a recruit, Alexis Gray, another recruit, and Brooklyn Barlow, all released today by WWE. Well, we wish each and every one of those people all the best in whatever the future may bring for them. Hopefully it will mean continuing on in the world of wrestling if they opt to go in a different direction. Hopefully all the success in the world will be available for them. It's difficult. It's always difficult to talk about these things. I hate coming on here and doing live streams like this and talking about this kind of thing. It stinks, but there's only so much you can do. All right, that is all for tonight, folks. Again, I apologize that there's no graphics or anything tonight. I've got to figure out the issue with StreamYard, why it didn't work, but I'm thankful that YouTube Studio was still available for me to be able to use, because I did tweet out that I was going to do this tonight. But that is all for now. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can be updated every time I am live or new content is put on this channel. And don't forget also to follow on Twitter at TV_wrestle and also on TikTok at WrestleScope. Those are the two big places that I consistently put up content. So thank you very much for tuning in. I am John from WrestleScope TV. Have a great night, everybody.